Welcome to Across the Globe. Today we will learn about rendering HTML forms from Flask. Flask enables the creation and display of HTML forms for capturing user input. In Flask, to craft HTML forms, developers commonly use either Flask-WTF or the WTForms extension. These tools streamline the process of building and handling forms in web applications. For instance, a Flask application can implement a login page with fields for username and password designed using Flask-WTF or WTForms. This secure approach simplifies form creation and data validation, enhancing user interaction and data integrity. Flask-WTF is a Flask extension that incorporates WTForms into Flask to handle form creation. To install Flask-WTF, use the command pip install Flask-WTF. Within your Flask application, import Flask form from the Flask-WTF library. Construct a form class by inheriting from Flask form. Define input fields in the form by adding them as class attributes. For example, to create a form with fields for username and password, the form class could include attributes like username and password of type string field. This allows for easy creation and manipulation of forms in Flask applications. To provide a brief industrial training level explanation of the depicted Python code. This code utilizes the Flask web framework to create a simple web application. A form named simple form is defined, containing two fields, name, string field, and submit field. Upon submitting the form on the /route, the index function is triggered. The function first instantiates the form. If the form data is validated upon submission, the name that data is extracted and returned in a simple greeting message. Otherwise, the initial page is rendered using the rendered template function to display the form for user input. In a real-world scenario, such a web application could be used to collect user names or other details in a form, process the input data, and provide personalized responses. For instance, a customer feedback form on a website could use this code to greet users by their names after submitting their feedback. The provided example illustrates the creation of a basic form containing a text field for user input of their name. Upon form submission, the entered name is extracted and showcased in a message. Implementation involves leveraging the render template function to display the form with the form object being transmitted as an argument. For instance, assume a scenario where an employment application portal necessitates users to input their contact details. Here, a form with fields for name, email, and phone number could be formulated. Following submission, the user's details would be processed, with their name being showcased in a confirmation message. Overall, this approach streamlines user interaction by soliciting essential information through user-friendly forms and subsequently utilizing this information to personalize experiences or transactions. Rendering HTML forms from Flask is like preparing a blank canvas for an artist to paint on. Just like how an artist needs a canvas to express their creativity, HTML forms provide a platform for users to input data. The Flask framework acts as the facilitator, setting up the structure of the form and handling the submission of user inputs. By properly rendering HTML forms, Flask allows users to interact with the website and provide necessary information for further processing. Hey, Code Conquerors, ready to level up? With TechLearn ATG, showcase your skills with official course certificates. Just visit our site and start. Need that extra boost? Get tailored learning, 24/7 support, and expert guidance. Coding smarter, growing faster, and making learning fun. Go to our website across the globe, www.atg.world. The code snippet above demonstrates the process of rendering HTML forms from Flask, a micro-web framework for Python. The Flask application consists of a route / that handles both GET and POST requests. When a POST request is made, i.e. form submission, the entered name and age are extracted from the form using the request.form dictionary. A personalized greeting message is then constructed using this data. The render template function is utilized to render the greeting.html template with the greeting message. For a GET request, the form.html template is rendered, displaying a simple form with fields for entering the user's name and age. Upon submitting the form, a POST request is sent back to the server. The form.html template contains an HTML form with input fields for name and age, along with a submit button. The greeting.html template displays the greeting message using the greeting variable passed from the Flask route. This example illustrates a common use case for rendering HTML forms in Flask, where user input is collected through a form and processed to generate a customized response. Real-world applications for this functionality include user registration forms, feedback submission forms, and survey forms, among others. By running the Flask application and interacting with the form, users can experience a seamless form submission process and receive instant feedback in the form of a personalized greeting message. One real-world example where rendering HTML forms from Flask is highly beneficial is in e-commerce websites. When customers place orders, they often need to fill out forms with their shipping address, payment details, and any special instructions. By using Flask to render HTML forms dynamically, the website can provide a seamless user experience, validating inputs and guiding users through the ordering process. Another application is in employee management systems, where HR departments use web forms for employees to submit leave requests, expense reimbursements, or performance evaluations. By leveraging Flask to render these forms, the system can ensure data accuracy, automate workflow processes, and maintain a centralized database for tracking and reporting purposes. Rendering HTML forms from Flask not only enhances the overall user experience, but also streamlines data collection and processing in various industrial scenarios, ultimately improving efficiency and productivity across the globe. Keep learning, stay curious, and I'll catch you in the next video.